What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Blitz Brawl, your weekly Legacies Allure Blitz Showdown. And as always, I'm joined by the rather wonderful Mr. Robo. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm having a fantastic day. It's great to see you again, and it is also great to see our players for today again. We've got Empire and a new face to the show, No Have Name I Want, commonly known in the server as Patrick, as he loves posting those Patrick memes. He's a fun guy who plays fun decks, and that's going to be what we're showing today in the Blitz Brawl.
Indeed, yeah. I was there when you were talking to Empire earlier and was like, who are you going to play against? And we heard these sirens, and all of a sudden it just came up, here comes a new challenger. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, like Patrick came out of nowhere and bang. So let's hope that they can kind of keep up that hype that we saw earlier and jump into the gameplay. Okay, we are into it's not a drafting phase. Remember, this is in Blitz. You pre-construct your deck, shall we say, if it was going to be a traditional card game. And now this is the placement phase, right? This is where they're now choosing positions. So you can still counter your opponent on positioning, but it's not a strict draft, which we'll see, or which you see in the draft format.
Absolutely. So what we're going to be seeing here is the attacker, who is the red player. Patrick is going to be throwing his abilities down first, and then we're going to see the defending player, Empire, on the blue side, placing his abilities and items for his hero, and they're just going to pass back and forth, making sure that the gold stays equal until all of their cards are in their deployment zone. And since it's normally my job, and I'm talking anyway, let's do some army analysis here. Patrick on the red is playing Kaarthul. This is going to be a Gath setup, and he is bringing his signature card, Goblin Slingshot, to the table. This is a card that allows you to sacrifice one of your own units to deal massive damage to an enemy target. This is easily going to be the linchpin of Patrick's strategies. And over in the blue corner, we've got Empire playing an Aurelia list. It seems to be centered around the Archangel card. Archangel is a 15 gold unit that allows you to revive a unit of 10 gold or less when it is destroyed, and you get an extra action for it. That is a huge comeback swing. So if I was Patrick, I would be watching out for that and being very careful in the order in which he destroys units.
Indeed. I mean, removing this card from the board, which is not impossible, right? 6 health isn't massive amounts. Is almost like getting rid of 2 units if they haven't used the resurrect ability, right? Because you're stopping that big action turn as well. Yeah, it's a great card. I'm slightly disappointed in you, though. I've got to be honest, Robo, because Squire, you didn't mention, like, of course, Patrick has to deal with Squire, the most OP, overtuned card in the game.
Absolutely. As we all know, Squire, the 2/3/2 allied pathing 2 gold unit for Erengard. Jokes and memes aside, though, I do think Squire is going to be a really strong pick, as it actually hard counters a lot of cards in Patrick's army right now. For example, Goblin Flanker, it can't one-shot it, so just placing a Squire directly in front of Goblin Flanker means that the Flanker can't flank. It has to compete with that Squire, which trades 2 gold into 3 incredibly easy. So, yeah,
Yep.
great card.
One card I'm really happy to see is the Apprentice Wizard. I love this card. I really, really do. It's easy to kind of look at this card and go, is it a good card? Obviously, it's situational, but target enemy unit has -1 power this round. It can cast that 3 times, and range 3 is nothing to be kind of snuffed at either. And I think this card is a really, for 2 gold, it's a really nice card. You can definitely, as it's for the whole round, right? You can basically, it allows you to trade into a card and potentially not lose units to it.
Absolutely. It's great on defense, and it can even sort of sneakily cover other cards' approaches. So one thing that I like to do is I like to place an Apprentice Wizard directly behind my Squire, have the Apprentice Wizard debuff the card in front of the Squire, then move the card adjacent to the card that got debuffed. Now the card that got debuffed can't just immediately capture the Squire, and Squire at the start of next round can stab the unit that was debuffed, basically for free. And that's one cool little sneaky combo you can do with your 2 golds.
Yep. And 4 gold for that combo, right? Squire mixing
Yep.
with the Apprentice Wizard. So placements now. Obviously, Slingshot taken front and center. Like, if this was a gig, Slingshot is the lead vocalist. They're up there. They are absolutely singing their heart out. Any surprise placements that kind of jump out to you so far?
Honestly, both players are just playing some really good Legacies Allure here. Like I've always said, you want to place your flankers on the side, and we're seeing that with Goblin Flanker and Goblin Archer, Squire and Apprentice Wizard. They fill those roles really well. You want to put your archers in like the middle line in the center, and we're seeing that with Elite Longbow Archer and Goblin Slingshot. And then your chargers and your tanks need to go right up front. Look at that. Enforcer, Armor 1, perfect example of a tank card. Aurelia is an excellent option for a charger. This is just some really solid fundamental placement from both players here. Everything is just kind of falling into place like a jigsaw puzzle tossed from the Empire State Building.
Empire. I like what you've done there. You see Empire.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. I was thinking of the famous American landmark.
You can always pull them out even when he's not thinking of them. But still,
yep,
two really big cards though still to place, right, for Empire in obviously Knight and the Royal Griffin, both and Dawnbringer Paladin. Don't cast that for your side either. So some big gold to come down there still for Arangard.
Well, and for Patrick as well, for the Gath player, his big units, his tanks haven't been deployed yet, and that Skorg Sorcerer is looking for a spot to sneak in. Skorg Sorcerer is a really tricky card that can force an enemy unit to act when it doesn't want to.
Yeah, definitely. Just to give people an idea of Skorg Sorcerer, we'll bring it up on the screen now as well. I just moved it. Didn't mean to move it. There you go. So yeah, Brutality, cost 1 mana. Target ally unit gains the next time this unit attacks, exhaust the defender. And in Rage for 1 mana, 2 range, it's combinable. Is target enemy unit attacks target unit you control this turn if able. So it's a way of, as you said, exhausting units, right? Okay, so we are now into the gameplay phase.
Yep.
Anything like early moves here? What do you think people are going to be feeling each other out for?
Well, early move, I think what we're going to be seeing is, just some, again, solid basic fundamentals. We're going to be seeing both players doing their setup moves and placing their buffs. And we can see that immediately with Skorg Sorcerer making sure that the Goblin Archer is going to exhaust its next attack target. Yep. And then over on Empire's side, we're going to see him use Tactician to give +1 power or +1 range to one of his cards. And from there, I think the attacking player, Patrick, will go into the center with one of his tanks, either Cave Troll or Razormane Manticore. Personally, I would expect Cave Troll, because as longtime viewers will know, the way to win the game is to capture and hold the golden hex in the middle. That's the only way to win, and so I think players are going to be going for that really early, since both of them have a very strong tank in their army in the form of Dawnbringer Paladin and Cave Troll.
Indeed, and it's not golden for any reason. It's golden because it is the golden ticket. Willy Wonka made it himself. If you get on that hex at the end after 7 rounds, you get the glass elevator, and you go all the way to victory lane. It's a true fact.
Yep, that's how it worked. Absolutely, just like in the credits.
Indeed. But no, I think you're absolutely spot on there. Like you said, the Cave Troll going to center hex, taking that shield, gives them 9 hit points, which in Legacy's lore is absolutely nothing to ignore. Like 9 hit points is a terrifying statistic to try and deal with. I mean, if anything goes near them, they can potentially pick them up and sling them with the wonderful Goblin Slingshot.
Exactly. And I think that's part of the reason why Cave Troll was picked here. Genuinely, with Goblin Slingshot's positioning being so close to the center, I think the sneaky combo Patrick's trying to pull off here is move Cave Troll to mid in the early game. Take a bunch of damage on that Cave Troll, and then before Cave Troll dies, use Goblin Slingshot to convert that card that was going to be lost anyway into massive damage.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 damage being thrown. Like, Goblin Slingshot might look small on the card, but they pick them up with one hand and launch that cave troll one-handed, like gracefully through the air. Oh, it's a sight to behold, that's for sure.
Yep.
And as you said, Archangel is just sat over there. It's a card that, I mean, is it a card that Patrick can ignore for now, or do they really want to try and deal with it before that big 10 gold replay picks up?
That's a really good question. That is such a good question, and it is a very tricky one to answer. But before I answer that, I do want to point out that Aurelia has +1 movement now. Goblin Slingshot is in trouble. Aurelia can fly in and capture it if she so desires. This could be huge from Mpire.
Yep. Plus a movement coming from the Tactician, right? So, onto...
Exactly. I don't really see a way around this for Patrick, unfortunately. Oh my goodness.
So Aurelia flying in obviously can be picked off within 2 hits. They could use the Scourge Archer and then obviously follow up the Cave Troll or something like that if they wanted to. The gold investment is 5 on Aurelia. Do you think Aurelia's happy trading herself for a Goblin Slingshot?
Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. I really would. Goblin Slingshot is so essential to the Gath list right now that losing my 5 gold hero to take out the most important unit on the enemy side of the board, yeah, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I would take that trade. But back to the Archangel. If I was playing Gath right now, I would probably let Archangel sort of do its thing for the time being. I would just focus on setting up a strong position around the center and sort of just absorb the hits that Erengard brings and try and trade successfully out of there. And Apprentice Wizard coming in to debuff that Goblin Archer exactly like you were talking about in Draft, Woody.
Yep. Indeed. Coming straight in there and be like, oh, bye-bye. Meaning now that obviously the attack could go, but it wouldn't exhaust them, right? Because there's no attack.
Yep.
So the brutality being used there, being like, I really like the play because Scorch Sorcerer only comes with 3 mana. So you only get 1 use of each ability. And now Brutality has basically been shut down with the Wizard Apprentice.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
I really like that. Talking about action economy, I really like that kind of extra step of the play to kind of shut them down there.
Yeah, Brutality is a buff that doesn't go away at the end of the round. So he can hold on to that buff for a future round. But for now, yeah, that Brutality is just not going to do anything. Patrick's going to be moving his Goblin Archer into a defendable position and hoping that works out. We're back over to Empire's play. I'm still waiting for him to just pull the trigger on that Aurelia. I'm surprised we haven't seen it happen yet.
Do you think we're waiting to kind of maybe have 1 or 2 of those cards around the Slingshot become exhausted or used so Aurelia can get in there and maybe get almost slightly greedy, trying to get maybe 2 rounds out of Aurelia rather than just 1?
Yeah, I think it might be the greed situation. I think you're right, and I don't know if that's good or bad. It's so hard for me to make the call. I can see an argument both ways for if you would want to just take the Slingshot now, make sure that there's absolutely no way it can sneak itself out of there, or if you want to sort of get greedy and wait to see if you can pull off an even better move with Aurelia or keep Aurelia alive into the next round. I don't know. Tough call. Tough call. But either way, we're seeing Patrick take that aggressive stance. He's pushing that front line up very handily, and I respect it. But Dawnbringer Paladin comes in and puts his cannot be attacked buff on himself, which means for this round that Dawnbringer Paladin is going to be sitting there.
Yeah, no, it's a nice move in there, and you could see, you spoke about formation so many times in the past, and obviously we can see that almost arrowhead starting to appear with the gaff, but then Dawnbringer coming in and being like, no. The tip of your arrow is blue, and I'm going to make sure the tip of your arrow is blue. And kind of sitting in there, and like you said, using the buff on them so they can't be attacked. and really ruffling the feathers of that cave troll, because that's a feathery beast. It might not look it, but it is a feathery beast.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment, and it's just I love seeing this. You know, as an old chess pro from back in the day, getting to play a game with this kind of theming and this sort of collectible card deck building element, but having all of these like classic chess fundamentals highlighted just makes me feel good, you know? It's a game that I watch and I feel good about watching it.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's why I enjoy casting these so much, because the openness of the play, right? It's so versatile. Like we can sit here and say, "Oh, I would do this," and then they're going to do something different. We're like, "What?" So,
Yeah, exactly. And there's just so few plays that I look at that a player does, and I'm like, oh, that was a wrong play. Anytime one of these players that we're casting does something that I don't agree with, I sit there and I think about it for a minute, and I'm like, oh, I can see why they would do that. It's because of X, and I just think that that's very interesting. And speaking of, there's actually something that I just saw that's very interesting that I think is a mistake on Empire's part. Okay, so Goblin Slingshot can sacrifice the Hellion to deal 4 damage to Paladin and move back at the same time because launch is combinable. Yeah, there he goes.
Yeah.
He's not going to deal the damage, but if he did deal the damage, Kaarthul could then move in and Lightning Bolt the Dawnbringer Paladin.
And clean it up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, because the Scullion would do 4 damage, right?
Oh, and the
And
Lightning Bolt
would
is
do
only
2.
2.
Yeah, so it would be leaving
So the
1
shield
damage.
would keep it. Yeah, the shield would have
Yeah.
kept it alive. That makes sense why Patrick didn't go for that play. Okay, yeah, that does make perfect sense.
But no, it's nice. Like you said, that's something as well that it took me a while to realize with Slingshot, that it is combinable. But you can move and then so you can basically effectively load, launch, and then move. So you can give yourself a safety position as well as dealing with damage. But choosing obviously not to do that on this turn. Cave Troll looking to put some pressure on, maybe. It's getting to the time now where I feel like they're setting up for next turn, right? Or next round.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
going to start seeing that bluffing game soon. Are you going to part? Are you going to skip? Am I going to skip? Who's going to skip? Who wants to go first? Who wants initiative? All that jazz. So, really, who benefits the most, would you say, at the moment, based on board state, from having the initiative next round?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Both players, I'm going to give you the answer that is unsatisfying, and the answer is both players really want it, because there's things that both players can do. If Gath goes first, Goblin Archer can use his brutality to shut down either the Dawnbringer Paladin or the Royal Griffin. And if Erengard goes first, using Enforcer to just disarm whatever it feels like is incredibly powerful as well, because Gath's big weak point right now is that they don't have a healer. They took a buffer in the form of Troll Shaman instead, which, again, is not wrong for an army that's supposed to be this aggressive, but it is a weak point that Empire can absolutely exploit by throwing out debuffs early in the round.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And like you said, it's... I always applaud anytime a player doesn't take a healer, only because I'd be terrified, like far too terrified to never take sustain. Like, there's a reason I play support roles in most games that I play, because I feel so much more comfortable having the ability to have sustain. So yeah, and so massive respect to Patrick for doing so. And like I said, taking the Troll Shaman to offer even more output to damage output to his team and more aggression. Okay, Aurelia moving up
and
over
Battle
this.
Fury.
Sorry.
Yep. Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say Battle Fury went on Skorg Hellion to give it +1 power and charging, and then the Solar Aegis went on Royal Griffin to protect it for next round. Buffs and counterplay to buffs. You're seeing it live, folks. Anytime your opponent puts a buff on the card, what you need to do is you need to sit down and you need to ask yourself, okay, they just buffed this card. What are they going to do with it? Figure out what they're going to do with it, and then move to counter it. And that's exactly what just happened.
Skorghalion being the ideal card for Battle Fury, right? Because the unit's health becomes 1. Well, Skorghalion starts its health at 1. So it has 1 health, but it comes a 5 attack card as well with charging. So it's a really good card to give the Battle Fury to.
Yep. It's what I like to call a TCG combo right there, folks. Looking at cards and using them in archetypal ways to create high output combinations.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the part I love the most about this game because I come from a TCG background.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, it's great. It's great to build these kind of combos. It's why I like Slingshot so much. I feel like it's a real TCG card because it has that kind of element of combo with it and versatility. Squire making moves, always got to be careful when Squire making the moves. He's like the raptor from Jurassic Park, it's lurking around there. And we see the Goblin Archer coming up and pushing 1 damage on them. That's nothing. 'Tis but a scratch to our young Squire.
Is Priest going to heal the Squire? That would be the most exciting thing in the world to me. And it is. Oh my god.
I'm glad Mpire knows the value of that Squire.
And it looks like our friend Patrick might just be skipping out to try and get the go first. Or is he moving flanker up? He's moving flanker up 1? Or not? Maybe? He's going for it?
So, if he moves up, that gives up initiative, right? I mean,
does.
I suppose Mpire might want to move Knight into position, but realistically, there's still 6 rounds left, right? So he doesn't need to rush that position.
Exactly, and Patrick's realized that, and he's just going to skip. Yeah, I think that's much better. I think going first is better than repositioning flanker at this stage.
Yeah, and as you said, going first, one of the cards that I'd imagine would be very early on the move list, if not first, is the Goblin Archer. That with the brutality on there, would maybe be shot at the Dawnbringer Paladin, which would make it exhausted straight away.
Yep. I mean, there's also an argument for Royal Griffin, right? Because that takes away 2 whole actions. So Dawnbringer Paladin is there, and it is a threat because that Sunburst ability that it has deal 1 damage to all adjacent, and it can't be attacked. That's powerful. That's scary. But Royal Griffin with 2 actions, arguably just as scary, right? So either way is a very good answer.
Yep.
And yep, there he goes. Patrick just tapping out, and he's going to take go first. We're going into round 2, everybody. Brutality is still applied to our friend the Archer. And he's going to use it, just getting rid of that Royal Griffin. I like it.
Yep. So, to clear up there, despite Royal Griffin saying it has 2 actions, or the actual texting on the card saying that has additional action each round, exhausting it still means it's exhausted, right? It doesn't lose one of its actions, it's straight up just exhausted.
That's correct. It's just straight up exhausted, cannot do anything. That is how that works. And Knight coming in to take out the Skorg Sorcerer. Things are not looking great for Patrick right now. I'm going to be honest with the folks at home. Losing that Skorg Sorcerer and having such a weak flank with a Royal Griffin and a Knight right there, well, it's not good. It's definitely not what you want to see as the Gath player right now, because your buffers and your sorcerers were down in that flank, right? Like, we don't really want to lose those guys.
Yeah. Absolutely, and they're sat there now, and they are in really, really good position. Obviously, the Griffin having the flying as well, so it can ignore any units in front of it, fly over them, and put pressure on any unit it wants to put pressure on. And this is a perfect example. If you take a screenshot of this image right now, of that flank, of that almost arrowhead we see now from Arengard, not so much from Gath, and then those 2 flankers coming in, those 2 really powerful units. Coming up to 17 gold between themselves. To put some pressure on there. And this is just Dawnbringer coming in and just making plays.
No. Oh my goodness. And this is this is another thing that I really like about Legacy's Allure, is that you can see how differently the factions play on a fundamental level, right? We were talking about how Gath has a lot of, card game-esque combos. There's lots of different abilities and setups and damage output shenanigans you can do. And Arengard over here is just kind of like the chess faction. You know, it's just playing its fundamentals and playing them really well, and that's how it is getting into its strong positions. And I think that's neat.
Yeah, yeah, I have to agree. I cannot disagree with you. Um,
Yep.
yeah, they all play, and obviously when you see, obviously we've seen Sylvan in the past, which are a lot more the movability, right? The real
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
you're setting up round 1 and 2 for round 3 and 4 and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yep.
I love that. I'm gonna say time manipulation because it just sounds cool.
It is. It is. You know, like Sylvan's all about like getting the buffs and the debuffs and setting up for like sneaky plays at the start of each round, and it's like it plays around with the differences between Legacy's Allure and a more traditional war game or board game. And I think that's part of what makes Sylvan so neat.
Definitely, absolutely. Cave Troll currently sat with 3 damage on there, which I mean still has 5 health, but there is no healer, as you said earlier. So
Yep.
all this damage that is going to be landing on these Gaff units is going to start tallying up. It's going to start adding up, and it's yeah, it's. I suppose it's how Aaron Guard's going to want to deal with these, right? That chip damage, chip
Yep.
away, chip away, chip away, and Archangel as well, still sat over there, can still retap a 10 gold unit if we wanted to. For example, it could retap Dawnbringer Paladin this turn if you want. Get it to do another AoE effect and put another 1 damage on the 3 cards around it if it wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And
Squire
oh man, that could...
making plays.
Yep, Squire coming in, getting the win for our friend Mpire. Goblin Archer going down. No real option about it. Like there was, oh man, this is looking rough for our friend Patrick over here. But the thing is that if anybody can pull out a 12 o'clock midnight win here, it's Goblin Slingshot. Like that card can do some craziness. You know, buff that last Scourge Archer up to infinity with the Battle Fury and the Troll Shaman, and then just launch it at the hero. You know, there's still options on the plate for the Gath player right now. It's
Definitely.
just not the position we necessarily want to be in.
Yeah, indeed. And we see Goblin Bombardier there running in, just realizing how much of a threat Squire is. So deciding, you know what, Squire, go take an early shower. I've got this now.
Exactly. Squire did his job, you know. He took like Mpire traded 2 gold unit for a 3 gold unit. That is absolutely Squire doing its job. That's what it's supposed to do. Because Squire has essentially the stat line of a 3 gold unit. It just doesn't have any cool abilities to make it worth 3 gold. So you get it in and you position it correctly, and it can absolutely trade off 3 gold units for 2. And that's part of the reason why I called the Erengard faction sort of the chess-like faction here today. Because that's a lot of what it's about.
Yeah, indeed. Pushing damage on the Royal Griffin now. It's a card that, I mean, both those flankers is going to be something that Gaff's going to want to deal with. But realistically, I mean, they have the Vesuvian Archer, right, for the Imbued and the Burn, which is probably the best way of dealing with the Knight for now. Obviously, it's tapped now.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not much really. Oh, sorry, Kaarthul as well with the Lightning Bolt. But other than that, there's not much to do with that Knight with that +1 armor.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see. Aurelia taking out the Grunt is also a bit of a problem because the Grunt was supposed to kill the Royal Griffin. And now there really isn't a way for Patrick to pull it off. We're going to Battle Fury the Scourge Archer. But
Okay.
I don't know how that's going to help.
So we're going to give it +1, giving it 4 damage. If you was to use, can't use it on the Dawnbringer Paladin, right? Because can't be attacked this turn. Could push the damage onto the Enforcer if they wanted. It wouldn't kill it because that's shield. But could also push it onto the Aurelia at the moment, which would remove the shield and do 1 damage to base health. But
yeah,
do you know what makes me sad? is Troll Shaman sat down there with a stack full of mana, 5 mana, and they've came to the party with a pocket full of change, and they've got nowhere to spend it right now. They just sat there,
yeah.
and I think they're gonna have to leave the party early with all the money they brought.
I think so. Oh my gosh, Woody, do you see what Patrick just set up? Okay, well, never mind. Mpire saw it, but if Mpire didn't heal, Kaarthul could have moved in and combinable lightning bolted Aurelia for 2 damage. That leaves her at 1 health, and then Troll Shaman could deal 1 damage at 2 range and capture the Aurelia. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out, but that's okay. And there we go. Lightning Bolt 2 on the Dawnbringer Paladin, setting it up for a kill next round. That could be good.
So that's allowed, although it can't be attacked.
It can't be attacked, but abilities can still target it. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
And obviously because
great question.
Because Lightning Bolt is an ability, that's why I can target it.
Correct. Lightning Bolt does not use the word attack in its ability text, therefore it is allowed. But something like Argog's Omni Slash that does specifically say that it is an attack would not be allowed to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to be giving +1 movement to the Archangel. That's very interesting. I wonder what that's going to be used for.
I mean, could this be used for what we mentioned earlier, the Dawnbringer Paladin? I doubt it. Or
no. Yeah.
Okay. Question now. As in, I genuinely don't know the rule in here.
Yeah.
If they were to resurrect the Royal Griffin, would that get 2 actions again?
Yes, the Royal Griffin would be back to having its full 2 actions. So if you resurrect a Royal Griffin, the Royal Griffin comes in. Because it's a Royal Griffin, it has its own extra action, and then Archangel gives itself +1 action. That is a net gain of 3 actions, which is huge.
They could, given the +1 move now, they could target the Royal Griffin, I believe. No, they can't. They're just out by one hex.
Well, not only are they just out by 1 hex, the Royal Griffin isn't
Oh, yes, of course, my bad.
there's a handful of problems with that. I see what you're going for, and I like your thought process, but the Royal Griffin does have to die.
I was thinking of unexhausting the unit. That's completely on me.
Oh,
people are probably laughing. They're going like, but obviously it's dead units, so yeah, that's completely on me. That's my fault.
No, it's totally okay. We're going into round 3. Gath gets the first play, it looks like. And the question is, what does he want to do with it, right? Because this whole like flank over here with Aurelia and the Dawnbringer Paladin and the Royal Griffin and the Knight is very bad. So how are we gonna fix that?
Damage control, right? This opening turn is okay. I'm gonna lose units now, but what don't I mind losing?
Right, exactly. How can we make this as not bad as possible?
Yeah.
That's the question for the ages, isn't it?
It's the $1 million question, isn't it? Right there. That is the $1 million question.
Because that's what's on the line today. $1 million prize pool. Just kidding, it's not.
Yeah. Did someone let Keith know? Because I hope he knows that that's the prize pool.
Yeah, this is a $1 million prize pool game. Yeah, he's the one who's gonna have to pay for it. Oh man.
Okay, so
yeah. I kind of like that play, honestly. Just using the Vesuvian Archer to take out the Dawnbringer Paladin, just solid all around.
Yeah.
And then Knight takes out the Troll Shaman. Honestly, if I was the Gath player, I would be fine with that, because my Troll Shaman is not going to be doing much this game anyway.
Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely.
So that is 100% okay.
Pushing 3 damage with the Scourge Archer, obviously not taking retaliation because it is a ranged unit. Onto the Aurelia, putting Aurelia at 2 hit points left. Obviously, we have the Goblin Slingshot if they wanted to throw something at them. But we also have the Kaarthul, right, with the Lightning Bolt, which is a lot more likely for the 2 damage.
I agree completely.
Aurelia's doing something now. We can see her spending the mana.
I think she's going to charge the slingshot, and yes, she is. There she goes.
Yep,
Aurelia just zooming across the map.
Yeah. It's the it's what the Sun's Favor is. It's so good for, right? It gives her that
absolutely.
ability to get in there, charging and imbued, which should not be snuffed at all. And also that 2 shield came in vital because she would have been dead had they not taken the round shield at the beginning of the battle.
100%. Royal Griffin really showing that its extra actions are coming in clutch, because now it gets to capture the Goblin Archer and move pretty much wherever it wants on the board. Yeah, Gath is still looking to be in trouble, because don't forget, even if it manages to take out the Royal Griffin or the Knight, Archangel is back there to revive that card.
Yeah, indeed. So it's bad enough dealing with a Knight once, right? But dealing with a Knight twice, that's just rude. That is just absolutely rude. But I kind of love it. I kind of love it. Okay, there we go.
Kaarthul is going to just lightning bolt Aurelia. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because heroes are not resurrectable. Heroes are considered to not have a gold cost, and since Archangel specifically says resurrect a unit with a gold cost, heroes cannot be targeted.
Yeah. I was literally about to say to you, can they resurrect the Aurelia? But
the answer is no.
You've cleaned that up perfectly.
Yep.
We can now see that we're kind of coming into the middle portion of the game now, right? And big plays starting to happen. Chunkiness is going ahead now, and we're starting to see. I mean, Gaff is by no means lost the game yet. Like, I know you're speaking very heavily on the side of Arangard. They haven't lost yet. They still have the likes of a Cave Troll with 5 hit points and 5 damage up. Vesuvian Archer's still got the imbued damage and the burn as well. Kaarthul's still got a use of Lightning Bolt. Even a Grunt at 3/4 stat line is still very, very strong. And don't forget the Razormain Archer with that physical damage return. So that's there we go. The Dawnbreaker coming back up here, which is
there's
important
that resurrect.
Because the imbued, right, meaning it wouldn't take the physical damage return off of the Razormain.
That is correct, and I think that's why it was in fact resurrected. But like you were saying, it's definitely not over for Gath, not by a long shot, because their flank got destroyed, but they managed to regroup an incredibly solid chunk of units right near the center. Grunt, Cave Troll, Vesuvian Archer, and Kaarthul is still active. They were able to more or less neutralize the core threats going down on that flank and take out the enemy hero. So this isn't that bad of a situation overall.
No. And also, a lot of the ranged units that Arangard brought to the table are also gone now as well. And if there's one thing you don't want to do against Gaff, is be forced to go to them, right? If you got to be forced to go to them, then you could be in a lot of trouble. So I like the way Patrick's kind of clawing their way back into this. But like you said, far from over at the moment. And Grunt now sees his name up in headlights and wants the moment in fame on the golden heads.
And he's got it. Dawnbringer Paladin able to take out the Razormain Manticore, just like you said. Quick power buff from Tactician, and that's 5 damage. So that Archangel Resurrect ability basically just one-shotted that Razormain Manticore. Really showing off the power of Archangel.
With 0 physical damage return, which is one of the key reasons you bring the Razormain to the table.
Absolutely.
Now we can see... Sorry, can you carry on?
Yeah, no, this is interesting. I don't know why Royal Griffin moved there when Cave Troll's just going to take it. Oh, no, I forgot about the shield. Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. So now Royal Griffin has essentially 8 health. That's a problem.
8 hit points. And the shield coming from the Archangel, right?
Yep, shield came from the Archangel's first ability, Divine Shield, able to spend 1 mana to give any of your cards an additional 3 shield.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
And you think, oh, okay, do you know what? Archangel's spent now, no mana left. Maybe it's not a very good card. It still pushes up 4 damage, has 6 health, 3 movement, and flying. It's still an incredibly strong card on its own stat line, let alone about the crazy strong abilities it carries.
Yeah, Archangel's a complete monster, absolutely worth the 15 gold. No doubt about that. And now it is Erengard's got options, right? Which isn't always necessarily what you want to have. A lot of times I find that as a Legacy's Allure player, I prefer, going down the more straightforward path rather than being forced to choose from a bunch of different good paths, because that's how you can start misplaying. Mm-hmm. If you have too many options on your table, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's all good at the moment saying, Erengard have got more units than... But who's in the Golden Hex at the moment? That's the important one, right? Grunt is there and making a claim for it.
Exactly. And there's no good attackers that Erengard has directly around that middle. And that's kind of the problem they're going to run into. If Mpire isn't careful, he's going to get too focused on chasing down the outside Gath units.
But the disarm on the Cave Troll is savage, because we now have... it's not dead, but... no, it is dead, right? If the Royal Griffin comes in and the Knight comes in, that is Cave Troll out of here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's Cave Troll just takes damage. The Knight takes it. Now, I am actually feeling a little bit more confident in calling who may be the winner in this match, because all that's left is Grunt.
Yeah.
And Erengard has lethal on Grunt next round with Dawnbringer and Knight. So this is game. We're going to wrap it up for the formalities, seeing the last few moves.
Oh, see,
Grunt takes down Shieldbearer in a blaze of glory. I can respect that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Dawnbringer.
And there you go. That is game.
And removing the Grunt there. Which leaves...
Knight just moves to center.
2 rounds for Mpire to take center Hex. As always, a cracking game of Legacy's Law. And yeah, it was another great showcase from Peter. Another great showcase from Mpire as well. Wow. Whew. That Archangel is... I think that's the first time we've seen it on Blitz Brawl.
I think so.
It's an incredibly powerful card, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Archangel really showcasing what makes it such a valuable unit for Erengard. And Erengard has a bunch of amazing 15 gold units to choose from. And it's very nice to see Archangel take a bit of that spotlight and show what it's capable of today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It was an absolute... Yeah, a pleasure to watch as always. And so if you're interested, if you've just stumbled by this and you've been engrossed for the 40 minutes of this video and you're like, wow, this is amazing, I need to play this game, you are in luck. Let's just tell you that. You can follow the links down below in the description. Head over to the Discord, jump in the LFG channel and just say, hey, I'm looking for a game of Legacy's Law. Anyone over there, possibly Mr. Robo himself, will take you through your first games of Legacy's Law where you play 50 gold armies. And next thing you know is you'll be all in. That is it. You'll be sucked into the portal and you're becoming the next squire that we all want to be. So, on that note, I think we're going to say goodbye. Thank you, as always, Mr. Robo, for stopping by. Thank you for being here and for, as always, your wonderful analysis and casting.
As well, it's always a pleasure to work with you, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.